I'm at this house right now. It's like I'm just trying to play with y'all. What's good? It's your boy J Rock here, and this time we're about to do a reaction with Mr. Nightmare, the one and only, and the stories are gonna be based on home intruders. So, yep, we got 5 creepy true horror stories based on home intruding. Yeah, like home intruders. So here we go. I really have. Wait, I did. Wait, listen. Yeah, yeah. When I was a child, I had some things stolen, but we got their stuff back within like about a couple of years. But we didn't find out who. But I really didn't worry about who. I'm just saying, at least we're alive and we got everything we wanted. This was like back in '09 or 2010, like almost 10 years ago actually. So yeah, so all I had was stolen was just my PS3. Yeah. So after that, I was thinking about saving up for one. So my stepbrothers had a PS4, and they wanted to do something with the PS3. So I said, "Hey, can I have the PS3?" It's like, "Sure." We weren't trying to sell it or anything. So hey, you got my little bit of story. So let's continue. There's Nightmare Files. Wait, hold up. There's Nightmare Files on this one, yeah. Wait. Alright, let's continue.
I was about 4 or 5 years old, and my parents had just separated. My mom was living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I had my own room, but I liked sleeping in her bed whenever I stayed with her. Our 2 bedrooms were at the end of the hallway, directly across from each other. Our apartment was on the first floor, and I remember that it was in the middle of the summer and my mom had a window open in her room that was directly behind the bed, above the headboard. Anyways, I woke up in the middle of the night and remember sitting up and seeing that our cat was sitting in the doorframe of my mom's room. Her door was open, and you could partially see into my bedroom. It was strange because our cat was a huge snuggler and was typically always in the bed with us. As I was watching him, he walked into my bedroom and meowed. I turned to face my mom to wake her up. In the 3 to 4 seconds it took for her to wake up and ask me what was wrong, we both looked back up in the door frame, and there was a man standing by my open door, making his way out of my bedroom. I still don't know how she managed to do it so quickly, but my mother proceeded to pick me up and literally throw me out of the screen window. Again, we were on the first floor, and it was maybe a 3-foot drop on the ground. She quickly followed me, and we were able to start screaming for help, and someone called 911. The police came but didn't see any signs of a forced entry. Only that our front door was unlocked, which led them to believe that the man had exited that way. But the strange thing was my mom swore up and down that she had locked the door that night, with the deadbolt and the chain lock. About a week later, she was cleaning the kitchen and opened up our water heater closet and found a notebook with names and drawings, as well as a pair of gloves and some gum wrappers. The man had been in our house and hid until we were asleep.
Alright, before we get into the next one, this is what I want to say. If they mention gloves, there has to be some DNA to find out who it is that's either in the house at the moment, but still, I mean, he might be a good hider, but he still left some evidence. DNA would just be able to identify a person. It's like, look, whatever you touch, you're gonna leave some fingerprints. Fingerprints is a form of DNA. Sweat could be some DNA, and even some saliva is DNA. It's like the biggest piece of DNA there is, besides a piece of hair from a hat. They're still gonna find you. Like if you're gonna throw some hats off, because they recognize you with the hat, well, guess what? They can still find you. Just use your DNA. Like, oh, some hair here. We gonna test it in the lab and find out who it is. I already know how the police thing works to identify a person. Let's continue. Alright, let's continue. Story 2. Let's go.
I moved to my dad's when I was 10. He didn't know anyone in the area, except for the family my dad was friends with. It was a single mom with 3 kids. Luckily, there was a girl a couple of years older than me. We weren't close, but ended up having the same friends. One night, my friend Rob was hanging out with her and her younger brother. They happened to be in the house alone because my friend's mom was at work, which is where this gets terrifying and sad. Her mother has been helping this one old lady. She got to know her fairly well. She found out her sister was in a mental institution and was let out recently. The night Rob was hanging out with my friend, they get a knock on the door. My friend thought it was just her mom. She knocks a certain way when coming in and answered it without thinking. Rob wasn't supposed to be there. He took off through the window to his house down the road. He never thought twice about it. It wasn't her mom. It was the sister of the lady her mom was helping, and she figured out through talking to her where her family lived and her mom's working schedule. She came in, and this is where no one really knows the details, and I'm glad I don't. My friend's younger brother got away to the neighbors to call the police. The lady brutally murdered my friend a week from Christmas, decapitated her, and left her body naked in the bathtub. She hit her head. They had to look through the presents.
So, decapitation, or something that was saying, Mortal Kombat, because I already know it's like when it's by the head, like death, like with your head chopped off, that would be decapitation. But it's not like it has to be like, I don't really know. I ain't trying to make no Mortal Kombat jokes on somebody's life, because these are true stories. These sound too true.
I don't know where they found it, but they did. I wasn't allowed to go to her funeral.
Story 3.
I was sitting in my room after getting off of work on the 2nd floor. My little brother is downstairs watching TV and the dog is in the hallway outside my door sleeping. All of a sudden the dog starts making all kinds of racket, jumping around, barking, clacking nails, howling. I go to get up to see what's up and I hear, "Oh, that's a good girl," in a male voice. It didn't sound like my little brother, so I go, "Oh, you're home early," thinking it's my dad's friend, our roommate, as I open the door. As soon as I'm out there, there is no one at all, but the dog wagging her tail staring at the empty end of the hallway. My little brother comes upstairs to yell at me for getting his dog riled up. He said he heard the same voice thinking it was me or our roommate. We did once over the house with my butterfly knife and his BB gun, and there was nobody. It still gives me the spooks to this day.
Alright, story 4.
A few years ago, I was home alone at night. I was watching TV in the living room when I heard the doorbell ring. Whenever I hear the doorbell ring, especially when I'm home alone, I am cautious to answer it. I walk up to the peephole without turning on the porch light, so they don't know if anyone is actually home or not, and I look through it. It's really dark, but I can see a small figure, more like a black blob. I don't know if it's definite shape, but it had to be around 3 to 4 feet, doing like a dancing motion, dipping down and oscillating its arms. Think of a person moving their arms like wings gracefully. It was dark outside, but this figure was more opaque, so I could see this going on. After a few seconds, I stopped looking through the peephole because it was too freaky to look at. I regained some courage and I looked back through the peephole, and whatever it was gone. To this day, I still don't know what that was, and I get freaked out just thinking about it.
Alright, final story.
When I was younger, our elderly neighbor fell sick and had to go to the hospital. Her niece asked us to take care of her dog while she was away. So after school and dinner and all, me and my brother were sent over to make sure he was doing okay. So it was late at night in this weird old lady's house. My brother was in the shed with the dog and I was in the living room looking at the creepy old photo on the mantelpiece. But what follows next is true. I heard the door creak open, and then a woman's voice called out the dog's name. I freaked out, turned around, and obviously there was nobody there. I thought maybe it was a neighbor's niece, but it had that weird, did I hear that outside or in my head, echo to it. You know what I mean. So I also thought I was just letting the creepy house get to me. But then I went out to let my brother and the dog in. And he was freaking out too because he thought he heard a woman's voice inside the shed with him saying, "Oh, there you are." We both agreed the voice had that weird in your head sound to it, and were convinced that there were ghosts in this place, or maybe someone was messing with us. We left the dog in the shed, went home, and were greeted by a dad who told us the neighbor's niece had just called to say the neighbor passed away in the hospital a few hours ago. To this day, we still think that someone broke in and they were messing with our heads.
Alright. So that was my reaction to 5 intruder home like the 5 home intruder horror stories. Yeah. I don't know what time it is for real. See, my watch says. Alright, it's about 1:45 now. So then we're gonna get some water and then drink some warm milk because I can't sleep, literally. So anyway, I'm still keep posting reaction videos. So yeah, I see y'all in the next one.